witches, Tiffany here on Bewitching.Bemused, and today we're going to talk about how to celebrate Yule. Yule is my second favorite Sabbath after Samhain, so I'm very excited, and in fact, I dug out this piece of masterpiece artwork. This is a sweatshirt that my sister and I painted for our mom when we were, I think, 4 and 5 years old. Like, look, I got proof. There's my signature. By Tiff. That means this sweatshirt is 28 years old. Damn. Puffy paint freaking lasts. You just don't get that early 90s quality anymore. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about Yule. Yule is the winter solstice, and this year, 2020, it is going to be on Monday, December 21st. Now, this is an interesting one as far as dates go, because some people simply celebrate it on the evening of the 21st. However, other people do celebrate the 12 days of Yule, starting on the 21st and going out for the next 12 days. Other people just wait, they hold off, and they celebrate on the 25th with Christmas, and you know what? Completely up to you. But on the actual night of Yule, the 21st, the winter solstice, that is the longest night of the year. So at this point, we have reached the absolute depth of the darkness that we welcomed in at Samhain, and now we are about to welcome back in the light. Nights will start growing shorter and days will start getting longer. Soon, we are going to experience the rebirth of the light half of the year and welcome back the return of the sun. Now, I could make a whole video just on all of the many pagan roots of this holiday. And of course, how the customs of those beliefs were folded into Christmas as Christianity kind of took over. How today's Christmas customs are either completely taken from, or at the very least heavily inspired by, pagan traditions. Like, really, I could do a whole video exploring that history and that evolution over time. But that's a video I'm going to make next year. This year, my videos on the Sabbats are all about celebrating. So let's talk about decor. Obviously, we have our traditional colors, green, which is very representative of evergreen, as well as red, and then of course there's golds and whites in observance of the sun. Evergreens, as I just mentioned a moment ago, are a symbol of everlasting life. You typically see this around this time of year in the form of a Christmas or Yule tree. I'm gonna get to that in a second because that's a whole big thing all in itself. But it's great to decorate with any kind of evergreen in order to observe that everlasting life. And part of this harks back to that cycle, right? The sun was gone, it died, and now it is returning. It is everlasting in the cycle of life. So Christmas trees are typically going to be spruce, pine, or fir. Another evergreen is yew. We also have mistletoe, which carries white berries and is associated with protection and healing. There's holly, which has red berries and is an evergreen that is associated with protection and goodwill. And finally, we have ivy, which corresponds with resurrection and the cycle of life. You, of course, can decorate with just little sprigs of them hung about, mistletoe hung up, and of course, garlands and wreaths. Don't forget to put out some pine cones, nuts, and berries. There are also solar-related spices such as cinnamon, star anise, and clove. Lights and candles are, of course, hung up and put out in order to observe the return of sunlight. And of course, they are very traditional and beautiful. All right, I have a few suggestions about your Christmas/Yule tree. Now, when it comes to Christmas and Yule trees, personally, I don't like getting a live tree. First of all, they're kind of messy, but also it seems a little wasteful. However, you can of course get ones from sustainable farms, and even better, you can get ones that can be replanted. So definitely look for those in your area. You of course can use a fake reusable tree, or even something small like a potted rosemary plant, which you can often find this time of year shaped like a Christmas tree. And of course, you can always decorate an actual outdoor tree. You can hang lights up and then of course include edible ornaments for birds and other little wildlife running around. For this, you can either string up berries, just please be careful what type of string you use. You want to make sure it's not going to be dangerous for them to ingest or easy for them to ingest. Just hang up some good old-fashioned bird feeders. Or you can go ahead and get a box of tongue depressors from your local craft store, hang them from a string, coat each side with peanut butter, and then dip that in birdseed. Now, still on the decor, let's talk about Santa. Now, I could do another whole video just about the roots of the myth of Santa Claus, how he is based on various gods and spirits from all around the world, but we don't have time for that today. So what I will say is this: maybe you don't believe in the traditional modern day Santa Claus. Maybe you do, but more as a benevolent spirit of the season, a personification of giving and goodwill. Whichever way you lean, you can still celebrate his status as a pagan icon, as well as the forces that he represents of goodwill, giving, charity, selflessness, by using his likeness in decor. Now, before I give you my whole list rundown of activities to do this season, let's talk about one in particular, which is burning the Yule log. If you have a fireplace or a fire pit, by all means, you should definitely burn one. If not, just like me, no worries. There are plenty of recipes online so you can make an edible Yule log, which has become very, very popular. Or, of course, there is nothing wrong with just popping on Netflix and streaming the Yule log video. Now, this was a tradition that started in Norway, and typically what they would do is burn an entire tree. Now, I'm pretty sure most homes don't have space for that anymore, so just a small log will be fine. It was also lit with the remains of the previous year's log. Starting on the winter solstice, they would burn a little bit each night for the full 12 nights. After that, they would keep the remains in the house in order to protect the house from lightning and bad weather for the next year, and then of course, use it to light the next Yule log. Now, if you're only gonna celebrate for one night, that's totally fine. Burn that thing in one go. And if you can't manage to pick out any charred remains, it's okay. You can also eat the cake in one sitting, because I'm not gonna judge you. And if you burn one, you can use a bit of twine to fasten things to the outside of the log, such as safe to burn herbs, rosemary perhaps for blessing, or sage, as well as little slips of paper with wishes and intentions. All right, on to the rest of the activities. You can make a wreath. Give out handmade or nature-based gifts to your friends and family, such as seeds, beeswax candles, plants, something you baked at home. And while you're at it, you may as well bake a little extra and take some to your neighbors. If you're not embarrassed easily, you could go caroling, or you can stay home and write your own Yule carol or poem. Donate or give time to charity. Meditate in absolute darkness or in the dark right before sunrise, in observance of what has been and what is to come. One of my personal favorites, have a feast. Feasting at this time of year was very, very common because usually this was the time of nothing. Ancient pagans were living off of things that they had managed to dry and preserve. So having this feast was not just a celebration, but it was also a sort of sympathetic magic used to bring in the abundance that you would receive later on this year. You can also get some of those empty plastic ornament balls and make your own witch balls for protection. As far as spell work goes, you can do a simple or elaborate ritual in order to welcome in the sun. And of course, spells for peace are very, very common this time of year. Now keep in mind, you can do something on the large scale, world peace, or something on a smaller scale like inner peace. Okay, witches, that is everything I have today on Yule. I hope that was very informative. I'd love to hear what you plan on doing for Yule in the comments down below. If you found something new, a little new tradition to add to your repertoire, please hit that thumbs up, give me a like. Also, if you are brand new, hit that subscribe button and welcome. I'd love for you to stick around. As always, you can reach me on Instagram and email right here. If you have an Instagram but you're not already following me, please do so because I'm gonna start using that as an area to take polls as well as to make specific announcements about the channel. All right, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful Yule. I will see you next week. Let's get another shot of my awesome sweatshirt. Ah, there we go. Yes.